welcome to Motivating Monday. Today I'd like to share a short reflection on the miracle of Jesus walking on water. And I'll be referencing this account in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 6, verse 45 to 52. So just to briefly recap what happened. This miracle happened right after the feeding of the 5,000. And Jesus sent his disciples ahead in the boat to Bethsaida, while he went up to the mountain to pray. And later that night, the disciples were on the lake, struggling against the strong winds. And in the early hours of the morning, Jesus came to them while walking on the water. And the disciples were terrified, thinking that he was a ghost. Then he got into the boat, and the wind died down. And the disciples were amazed, for they had not fully understood who he was. So when we reflect on this account, there are three simple lessons for us to learn today. Firstly, we see that God sees our struggles. In verse 47 to 48, we see how even though Jesus was not physically with them, he saw the disciples straining at the oars, battling against the wind and the waves. They may have felt alone in that moment, tired and frustrated. Yet the scripture tells us that Jesus saw them. So in the same way, God sees what we are going through. Not just the outward situation, but also the inner struggles, like our worries, our discouragement and fatigue. And at times we may feel like we are rowing hard in life but not getting anywhere. But we are never out of his sight. As Psalms 34 verse 15 says, "The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their cry." And nothing we face goes unnoticed by him, and no prayer goes unheard. Even when we feel unseen, God is fully aware and deeply concerned with us. And the second thing that we can learn here is that God comes at the right time. In verse 48, we see Jesus came to them in the fourth watch of the night, which is between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m., when they were likely at their most exhausted. They had been struggling for hours and help did not come immediately, but it came at the right moment. And brethren, sometimes in our lives, God's help may seem delayed. We may wonder why he does not intervene earlier. But this passage reminds us that God is never late. He comes according to his perfect timing, often when we need him the most. As Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 11 reminds us, he has made everything beautiful in his time. God's timing is purposeful. He may be strengthening our faith or teaching us to depend on him or preparing us for what is ahead. And when he comes, it is always in the right way and at the right time. And the third thing that we can learn here is that a hardened heart can prevent us from recognizing what God is doing. And so the passage ends in verse 52 by saying that the disciples had not understood about the loaves. Their hearts were hardened. And so this is quite striking, because the disciples had just witnessed the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000, yet they still struggled to understand who Jesus was. And it shows us that spiritual understanding is not just about what we see, but the condition of our hearts. And so at times we may also experience this. God may be working in our lives, providing for us, guiding us, but we fail to recognize it. As Hebrews chapter 3 verse 15 reminds us, "Today, if you will hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as in the rebellion." And so a hardened heart can come from doubt or even distraction. But God desires for us to remain open and responsive to him. When our hearts are soft and receptive, we are able to see more clearly and grow in our trust and understanding of him. So brethren, may we not only see what God is doing, but also keep our hearts open so that we can truly understand and trust him. So as we reflect on this passage in the Gospel of Mark, we are reminded that our journey of faith is very much like the disciples on that boat. There will be times when we struggle, when the winds are against us, and when God seems very distant. But this account assures us of three things: that God sees us, that he comes at the right time, and that we must guard our hearts so that we do not miss what he's doing. And most importantly, when Jesus came to the disciples, his first words were in verse 50. He says, "Be of good cheer. It is I. Do not be afraid." So this reminds us that His presence changes everything. The storm may still be there, but when Jesus is with us, we have no reason to fear. So brethren, whatever we may be going through today, may we hold on to this truth, that we are never alone, that God is at work even when we cannot see it, and that we can trust Him fully. And may we keep our hearts soft and receptive so that we not only witness His works, but truly know Him more each day. Thank you. Holy and holy.